In addition to all this, even more. Great. This is good. Good stuff. There is a solid eyewitness testimony preserved in the New Testament that Jesus didn't stay dead. In the weeks that followed his resurrection, Jesus' disciples had many encounters which they were absolutely convinced were real meetings with Jesus. Physically risen from the dead. Eats with them, teaches them, talks with them, walks along with them, sits down, rests with them, all these important things. It's important to recognize that these weren't fleeting, ghostly apparitions. I think I see Jesus out in the distance on the waves. Oh, okay.
You see it? It's wavering out there.
Yeah. The disciples talked with Jesus. They ate with him. They touched him. They had every opportunity to confirm that they weren't hallucinating or seeing a ghost. In fact, when he happens to do ghost-like things like go into a locked room, he says, "Here, touch me physically," and presents himself as a spirit.
Yeah. So it's just as important to note that some of the people who testified about seeing Jesus alive weren't believers before the crucifixion, right? So even these folks didn't believe. For instance, James's half-brother. Before Jesus' death, James was a skeptic, right? In fact, he was claimed them to be crazy and that kind of stuff, right?
Come on back home. What are you doing?
Yeah. But soon after, his resurrection, James became a leader in the fledgling Christian church in Jerusalem. So what could have changed James' mind, right? Another very significant witness is the Apostle Paul, right? Again, he was one that, clearly didn't believe Jesus before the crucifixion, right? But his testimony is particularly weighty because he's an independent witness with no prior reason to accept the resurrection, Anderson tells us.
Right.
In fact, he initially persecuted the first converts to Christianity.
Had them arrested, had them killed, vehemently was against Christians, and then has a thing happen to him somewhere along the way, and he completely changes his entire worldview, his entire life. He goes away from what he was raised in, what he was known. He was probably on track to be part of the Pharisees that hired him to go out and terrorize the early Christians, but then he becomes one of them. It's like zombies, he's added to the collective. So in addition to all this, there is solid eyewitness testimony preserved in the New Testament that Jesus didn't stay dead. So the combined strength of all the eyewitness testimony to Jesus' resurrection is quite remarkable. This wasn't just one or two disciples trying to salvage their master's reputation, seeing how far they could get away with it, filling their coffers. I mean, we all know the extraordinary wealth that the early Christians seem to exude, and we know Paul became this very rich person who didn't have to work anymore.
No, he didn't.
Right. Okay. So no, hundreds of people from diverse backgrounds, some of whom were initially skeptical and hostile, claimed to have met Jesus alive after his crucifixion on multiple occasions. In fact, you see the early church and you see, again, this diverse background, especially the rich and the poor coming together in Rome. That was a dangerous sign for the Romans. You're like, wait a minute, it's one thing for this backwater country of the Judeans to have their strange god and whatnot. Fine, but now you're starting to take our centurions, our rich people. I don't know. We can't really have that. We need temple taxes, and you need to still bolster the state.
Right.
Many of them were ready to die rather than renounce their testimonies, and defies reason to think that they were either lying or deceived. So this kind of argument from embarrassment and argument from I don't know. They had something to lose, including their lives.
Yeah. If I knew it was a lie, why would I be willing to die for it? Right? I mean, that seems like
at some point, just renounce it. And you're fine. You put the pinch of incense on the altar of Caesar, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
And, okay. Right. I'll just move, and no one will know.
Yeah.